Welcome back, everybody, to The Uncommon Element. I am your host, Josh Meunier, and I am excited to bring to you today some of the lessons that I've learned really around accurate thinking and what has transpired throughout my life, because what I've realized in my journey, especially with going through the transition from, the old person that I was unhappy with to a decade later of someone who I can be proud of. And that's not an egotistical or egocentric way of thinking for me. It's actually a way that has helped me progress and evolve into the person that I am today. And I'm still learning lessons every single day. But ultimately, the idea of accurate thinking is so critical when you're trying to figure out your life. Because when I got into the entrepreneurship game, that's what started to change me drastically and dramatically, where I started to learn lessons the hard way because I was too over the top with trying to plan and be, so inundated with data, trying to make the right decisions, that I forgot the importance of the foundation of my own person and the idea of knowing where I'm trying to go. Because when I had no idea really, when I got into entrepreneurship and started my first company, I didn't do it for me. I did it for the support of others, which I'm still very proud of. I still think that was something that is one of the most unselfish things I've ever done. Even though I had instances and less hard lessons that I had to learn around expectations that I had for others when I didn't know what expectations I needed for myself. And it made me really uncomfortable. And honestly, I was going to talk to you about a different story today, but I just felt called to talk to you guys about this today. And I sat down and I started rereading another book that I've always loved. It's called The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. And his readings and teachings have really changed my life in so many ways, because he's got 15 laws of success that really can help you or anyone that's struggling with any portion of their life, any relationship in their life. I could talk to you about business all day and business tactics, but what I've realized is none of that really matters if you don't have your life straight. I didn't have my life straight. So all the money in the world, all the growth in the world in a business isn't going to make you fulfilled. It never made me fulfilled. It actually left me empty, because all I cared about was growth. All I cared about was, someone else's opinion of me. And that made me really struggle for a long, long time. And I'm not saying that you should go towards complete apathy. I think that's a dangerous place to be. Apathy being, not caring at all what other people think. I think that there's an important line that you need to understand of how to find that balance between the two. And I want to run you through some of the really interesting findings that I've seen from Napoleon Hill. And I'm going to read this to you from The Law of Success and his chapter on accurate thinking, and also kind of the lessons that I've learned through that, because I think they're really important. And once I really started to dial things in, and it took a while, but once I dialed it in, decisions became easier, life became easier, happiness became easier, fulfillment became easier. But had I not gone through all those struggles and all of that drifting, that you could call it, of not knowing where I was going or what I wanted to do or what kind of impact I could make, I was lost. And I was always doing things for other people, and it just left me empty. And so if you're feeling empty right now, that's probably why. It's probably because you don't know the path or the direction that you really truly want to go. So, he really, and by he, I mean Napoleon Hill, talks about accurate thinking and breaks it down into 6 different sections. Okay. So I'm going to read the first one for you. And it says, the mind can be controlled, guided, and directed to creative and constructive ends. You can control your own mind. You really can. All right. And once you learn how to control those thoughts and start to think in a different way, where you know that certain thoughts aren't serving you, you know that your anger and your ego and all of the things that you're saying about other people or other people are saying about you is literally affecting everything. Your energy, what you receive in your life, what types of relationships you have. And being able to really control those thoughts and direct them in a constructive manner is so important, but it takes time and it takes you giving yourself grace to find out who you are. What is going to be constructive? What is going to make you fulfilled? You can't take your bank account with you when you die. So money isn't going to do that for you. It'll grant you a lot of opportunities and freedom. And that's, something that, in terms of my legacy and what I want to leave, that's where I want to help others. I want to help others in my family. I want to help others in other families. I want to help others, like you that might be listening to this right now. So understanding that, controlling and guiding and directing your thoughts in a constructive way is so important. It's so important to determine what you want. You cannot determine that until you're real with who you are right now. And that's just the God honest truth. That's what I figured out, is I had to be real with myself. I had to be real with the results that I was getting. I had to be real with what I needed to change. I needed to be real with the fact that I was struggling because I was responsible for where I was in that moment, in that day. Instead of blaming other people and pointing somewhere else. That's not accurate thought. My friend Sam mentioned this to me, and a great friend of mine. And he talked to me about, in addiction, because he's part of AA, which I give him so much credit for, because this man has transformed from being in the depths of the shadows, struggling, stealing, doing things that, I know he wasn't proud of, to then becoming this person who is leading and knows where he's going because he's been able to figure that out. But what he said to me, and what was so impactful, was if you were to draw a circle around your feet and look down, anyone standing inside that circle is the only person that you can control. You are perfectly capable of controlling your thoughts and directing them towards constructive action for the end result that you want. And it's a feeling. It's not something that's monetary. You get a feeling from whatever monetary things that you absorb into your life. Okay. And you attract energy that you put out into the world. And that was so pivotal for me shifting and knowing that, Sam kind of hit me directly between the forehead when he told me that, because I was missing that. I was missing the control what you could control and stop fucking around with worrying about other people. Even your spouse, even your kids, you can't control them. You can't control their thoughts. Your kids are fighting back. I know for me, I could never feel like I was able to control my own thoughts. That's what I really wanted. And if you're a high performer or you're an entrepreneur or anybody that's trying to grow, like, it's really hard, okay, to know that the people that you really truly care about have a difficult time understanding where you're going. But if you know where you're going and you're accurate in your thinking and you're constructive in the way that you place your actions out on a daily basis into the world, you will get back what you put out. You will. So the second thing that he mentions is the mind can be directed to destructive ends, that it may voluntarily tear down and destroy unless it is with plan and deliberation controlled and directed constructively. We all know that we can tear down our lives pretty quickly. One action, one word, one phrase. You know those important people or important relationships or important conversations that you've had in your life that didn't go your way. You also know the relationships that you've kept in your life that have held you back from becoming the best version of you. And are you allowing that in your life? Are you allowing those thoughts into your life? Because they're not constructive, they're destructive. They actually keep you 2 steps back to 1 step forward. I've been there. It's hard. It's really hard. It's really hard to accept the results when they don't level up to what you really hoped for. But that's because you're putting unrealistic expectations on thoughts and other people outside of you. And we do that. We're all guilty of it. I struggled with it for a really, really long time. It was really hard. It was really hard. It really fucked with my self-esteem. It really fucked with like my mindset. I was in depression. I was in anxiety. I was all over the place. But that second portion of accurate thought hit me because I was tearing down and destroying rather than building great relationships, building great things in my life because I wasn't proud of who I was. And I was always trying to seek acceptance from other people. And it never worked. It never worked for me. So if you're struggling with that and you're struggling with acceptance right now, look at the behaviors that you have. Look at the thoughts that you're thinking. Are you in this spiral loop from hell in your mind that's fucking you up, that's making you more depressed, that's making you more angry? Because if your emotions are getting the best of you right now, I can tell you, you probably need to lean a little bit further towards apathy than empathy, okay? Just do yourself a favor. Don't drastically change it like that. Because people will completely fall off and they will not be the relationships, or you will not cultivate the relationships that you're looking for as end result. So the third thing that he talks about, and I'll read this again verbatim, right? The mind has the power over every cell in your body and can be made to cause every cell to do its intended work perfectly. I've had 2 experiences in my life where I've actually been able to use my mind to change how tired my body was. The first was Everest and Kalapatar. The last peak that I went to that was 18,200 feet. I wanted to quit so badly. My legs were so exhausted. My body was so exhausted after 6 days of literally 12 to 14 hours of hiking with 70-pound pack on my back. I was exhausted. But I remember racing to the top of that mountain and racing to see that sunset and feeling my legs transform and transcend from fuck off, I don't want to do this anymore, to let's go. You can call it your second wind, whatever you need to do, okay? But I remember, and I will always remember that you can control your body with your mind. You can literally control the cells in your body with your mind. But it takes extreme exhaustion to get there. That's the struggle, right? Is most of us will change once we are so sick of getting those results that we just don't want. And it's because we just don't understand what we truly want in our lives, from us, from your own person. The second was this 100-mile assault bike race that we called Assault Across America, not Assault Against America, Assault Across America. And we were, 100 miles on an assault bike is extremely taxing on your body. I also had about a half an arm. I had a broken thumb, and this is prior to me having my shoulder replaced, but about 5.5 hours in, I was ready to quit. My mind was like, you're tired. When is this going to be over? And I remember looking down at the ground and saying to my thoughts in my head, fuck off, let's go. And yes, that's embracing my dark side. Okay. If you follow me on any of the social platforms, like you'll see that, like I embrace that. I think it's important that you do. You'll never get to where you want to go without fighting through struggle, which means you're going to have to embrace it. But in doing so, you build strength in you, in your capabilities, in your confidence, in your ego. Yeah, you need an ego, but you need to learn how to control it. You can't just be some lion walking around every day trying to swipe everything that, or everyone around you, okay? Everything or everyone around you. You need to learn how to figure out how to control those thoughts and control those emotions and bring yourself to an even keel, because you can't, we're made up of emotions and logic, okay? But if you tilt higher to one side than the other, you will lose. You will not get everything that you want. The fourth thing is that Napoleon Hill had talked about: all achievements of man is the result of thought. The part where the part where his physical being is of secondary importance, and in many instances of no importance whatsoever, except as housing a place for the mind. Knowing where you're going is hard. It's difficult. It's a variable. It will change as you grow. But if you don't grow, what happens? You stay the same. And you end up with regret. I would hate to see that for you. I know I don't want to live my life like that anymore. I know what regret did to me. I know what regret ultimately put me through. But it was my own mind that created it. And accepting that, and accepting the fact that I had to learn how to accurately think, started me on a much better path in my life. It got me to the right mentors. It got me to the right places that all aligned and kept pushing me towards this space and this path of what I wanted. Because I promise you, if you're living your life for somebody else, okay, and you don't understand what you want and how to accurately think for what you want, you'll never, ever reach fulfillment and freedom. Because your freedom is your state of mind. And when you start accurately thinking, you will become free. That's contentment in your life. That's patience and grace for you in your life. Okay? And you feel fulfillment when you actually execute on the things that you want. But you have to accurately think and remind yourself consistently on what you want. You know, the power in that is really cannot be overstated. It can't be overstated. Your achievements in your life are completely your own decisions. And if you don't get that, you need to start looking very hard at yourself and what you really want, by being honest with who you really are right now. Because there's going to be a gap. You're going to find that once you identify who you are and where you want to go, there's that gap that you need to fill in. And when you're accurately thinking, and I'm going to tell you two more things from Napoleon that I think are really going to help you here in gaining that accurate thought, is, figure out that gap, figure out the actions, the habits that don't serve you and that do serve you, and focus on the things that serve you and remove the things that don't. It seems very simple. I know it's a lot harder than that because I've had to go through it myself. And the reason why I say it's variable is the sooner you can start writing down what you want and you start taking actions towards what you say you want, you're going to learn and really dial in, what's that last, what he calls definite chief aim. What's your bullseye? What are you aiming for? Could be 12 months, could be 3 years, could be 10 years, could be your legacy of what you want to leave behind, of who you are and what your obituary says and what you're remembered by. Because that's one thing we all have in common. We're all going to die at some point. Who do you want to be known as? And are you going to live your life and end it in regret because you weren't willing to do the work and be real with yourself and accurately think about yourself? Because your achievements will weigh on that. The fifth thing that Napoleon talks about in Accurate Thought is the greatest inspiration of all achievements, whether in literature, art, finance, industry, commerce, transportation, religion, politics, or scientific discovery, are usually the results of ideas conceived in one man's brain, but actually transformed into reality by other men through the combination of the mind and body. That's pretty cool, because I think that also brings into the idea that I've been talking about, that relationships are so important in your life. Relationships are so important in your life. And if you don't focus on those relationships, you will have a much harder time in your life, because in order for you to get to where you want to go, you cannot do it alone. Your hard work will only go so far. And if that's okay with you and you don't want to build a team and you don't want to make significance and you don't want to make impact, fine. That's fine. Accept it. Just please do not live your life for other people and wait for acceptance from them. When you accept yourself, you will attract the right energy towards you. When you live by your core values, you will attract the energy towards you. When you stop seeking acceptance from other people and understand it's you versus you every day, you will start to become that person that is worthy of achievement. And you have to believe that in your mind, that you're worthy of that. And some of you out there probably are really struggling with that right now. This is the holidays, so I don't know where you're watching this. Okay. You might be watching it on YouTube. You might be listening to it on Apple or Spotify, whatever. Okay. But at the end of the day, whatever form of media, it's Christmas time. So there's a Christmas tree behind me. Okay. And these are troubling times normally for me. But actually, this year is much different. And I realized, and the reason why I'm even talking to you today is because I went to church and I sat down and I really started thinking about the fact that I am okay with, this not being the perfect Christmas. So how do I make it my own perfect Christmas? How do I accept that love and those things that I'd yearned for so long? How do I accept it? Well, because I know where I'm going. Because I know that in order for me to go where I'm going, I had to kill the old person that some of my family does not like. And I appreciate and respect that. And I'm sorry for them and me, because I'm sorry. I'm not sorry for me. I wish that they would ultimately, change that mentality, because I know that I'm worthy of love. I know that I'm worthy of relationships. I know that I'm worthy of success. And I hope that you know that too. But your actions have to align with it. And how do you do that? Well, you start accurately thinking about where you're trying to go. And sometimes, pretty much every time, that path is not laid by somebody else. It needs to be laid by you. if you think about yourself like as this river, right? And a river runs through it, okay? Pathways that have been taken by other people that suggest that you go that way and follow in their footsteps at all times, okay, is only going to leave you empty. All right. But engaging in those relationships and understanding their path and how they had to get around obstacles will help you transform your life much faster and help you evolve much faster towards those achievements that you want. But you got to bet it on you too. You got to be willing to just bet it on you. That's the only way that you're going to build your own self-esteem and confidence. That's it. And we all struggle with it. We all do. The man you see today or you hear today is 10 years prior or post, 10 years post, almost dying. 10 years post a journey that I had to go on because I thought I was going to die before I was 30. I started to eliminate that fear of death and just go after things that made me feel very uncomfortable. And I still didn't know what I wanted. I just knew that what I didn't wanted, which a lot of times is even more important to set you on that path. But then you got to really figure out what fills your cup, what gives you that feeling that you love about you. Because when you accept that and you understand where you're going, believe me, that energy does get attracted to you. And I am incredibly grateful that I have made that shift because I've attracted the right relationships into my life that I've always wanted. And I want that for you. So the final thing that Napoleon talks about is the majority of all thoughts conceived in men are not accurate, being more in nature of opinions or snap judgments. When I read that, I had to sit back in my chair for a second and just really look up and think. Being more in nature of opinions or snap judgments. All right. Accurate thought, using data. What does this tell me? And what did it tell me? Okay. I grew up in a household of scientists. Okay. So data is extremely important. I went to a business school where data is extremely important. I went through a business where data was extremely important in order to create accurate thought, accurate thinking. But I found myself kind of in this like emotional state where I was like, man, I'm like, kind of F those guys for telling me like, you don't need data. You just need like to just go and implement and blah, blah, blah. No, dude. Okay. The smartest people that I know understand that accurate thinking and the data that you get is extremely important, whether you're in business or in life. Okay. And that's why I tell you to evaluate your results, because if you're not getting the results you want, data is going to tell you. And that may be the actions that you've been taking that have not served you. Or vice versa. If you know where you're going, those are the actions that are serving you and serving that purpose and helping you live by your core values and getting you into that right direction. But I see too many people now. I used to be this person all the time. Okay. Is quick snap judgments and emotions that I couldn't regulate. And it really fucked it up. It fucked up a lot of things in, personal relationships. I don't want to see that for you. So I hope that you can learn this lesson from me. All right. Is by making snap judgments, I hurt my growth and I set myself back. Now, there is an extreme side of this where perfection is unrealistic. Okay. And a lot of people kill their dreams before even getting started because they're worried about what other opinions are. They're worried that people are going to tell them that they, oh, I told you so. You know, I told you that business wasn't going to work. Told you that relationship wasn't going to work. Told you X, Y, and Z wasn't going to work. Well, fuck them. Okay. You need to learn how to say that in your mind. All right. And say it politely to them. Because data and accurate thinking is extremely important, but you only need a certain amount of data before you can start to take action and understand that your experience with that data is going to tell you more and more and more. And why I tell you that there is a variable in this, that things will change as your results show you what's actually happening. And you're real with yourself on it because you're thinking accurately. You know, once you can identify who you are and what you want, the biggest thing that has set me on the path of massive evolution and growth personally over the last probably 3 years now, all right, is dialing in what I want in every pillar that I want in my life, in every element that I want in my life. And that is why I believe I'm standing here today. I had been pushed to get this podcast out. I didn't want to share a whole bunch of shit with you guys, okay? I didn't want to air out my dirty laundry, all right? But at the end of the day, if it helps one of you get to where you want to go, then it was worth it. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about self-suggestion, auto-suggestion, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and what it's done for me. I learned this from Napoleon Hill. It's not probably, I know it is the keystone element, uncommon element of those massively successful generational last names that you hear of, the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, the Fords, all those people, okay? It's called self-suggestion and auto-suggestion. All right. So once you understand and identify what the goals you have are in your life, all right, you're going to be able to, by reading them multiple times a day and reminding yourself multiple times a day, not just once when you wake up, not when you go to bed, okay? Multiple times a day until you can repeat it back to yourself and you're constantly thinking about those goals and that direction that you're trying to go in every decision that you make in your life. And you have to write them down. I use something called Evernote, okay? It's on my phone. It's on my desktop. I have an alarm that goes off 4 times a day where I say, well, success, I have a millionaire mind, and I read my 1-pager of all the goals of I am, I will be, what are the 5 habits that serve me the most, and then what are my goals in every element of my life? My faith, okay? My family, my friendships, my personal relationship. I'm single, okay? I'm not even going to get into that. Having almost been married. My, health and fitness, my career, what do I want to do in my career? And then what do I want to do with my personal finances? And I have goals in every single one of those areas. And I look at them every single day and I read them every single day of the person who I am, who I want to become, and what serves me the most, and then where I'm going. And if you could figure that out, you will find fulfillment. You will become uncommon. You will be the person that you can be proud of. I hope that you find that. And you can start right now by being real with who you are and where you want to go. I appreciate you guys. I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. Whatever religion and faith you have, I hope this helps you become uncommon. Because you are meant for something more and you are worthy of that. Now go and believe it. Until next time, this is your host, Josh Beignet, and I'm out.